What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to talk about a new hot technique from overseas that'll catch more bass, called the Cheb Rig. Alright, so the Cheb Rig, or I'm sorry, I'm probably going to butcher this, southern accent, the Cheburashka rig. Sounds pretty unique if you ask me, but if you look at it, that's it right there. So it basically is a small tungsten weight that has a pin in it, and you can put your own hook on it or whatever you want, your own soft plastic. Essentially what I see this is basically a finesse version of a wobble head or rugby head, whatever you guys want to call it. Obviously this right here throws bigger baits. It's like a 5 or 6/0 hook with 3/8, half, 3/4 size weights to it. But the Cheb Rig is actually a very finessed version of it. They are in grams, so you can get anywhere between like an 1/8 or 3/16 or even smaller than those. So just a real quick summary on the Cheb Rig. It's actually from Eastern Europe. Some people say it is some JDM stuff as well, but it is overseas. I've heard it's from Russia, I've heard from Eastern Europe, and I've also heard from Japan. But essentially, like I said earlier, it is a finesse style wobble head, but there is a little bit of a difference with it. If you see, I have a swim bait on it right now. Kenta Kimura was actually using this on my home lake in Watts Bar, and he was actually scoping bass with this, and it actually gives it a very unique action with that free moving hook on these swim bait style baits. It actually lets the swim bait roll and have a whole lot more action than it would on a standard jig head. Real quick, we're going to hop into the types of baits that I like to use on this and the types of areas that this would actually work very, very well in. With it being a very finessey style presentation, I like to use smaller lures. These just happen to be 3-inch lures. These are two of my favorites. It is a beaver style and a crawl style. You guys can use any kind you want. This actually happens to be a Berkeley Power Bait Chigger Crawl and a Reaction Innovations Smalley Beaver. And then obviously, as I have rigged up here, you can have a swim bait style as well to put on this rig. Now, as for the areas where I believe this will work best are on those shallower style banks or flats or points. Anything that has a rough or rocky texture so that jig head can bounce along the bottom and cause a ruckus, and then your bait is obviously free swinging behind it, that will get those bass enticed to bite. Not only hard spots and rough spots, but I feel like this would be a phenomenal bait to use during the spawn, which is just a couple months away. I feel like it would be great for bed fishing because it is such a small weight and a compact profile. You can actually pitch it into the bed, and it shouldn't scare the bass too awful much, and you can actually work it, and with that free swinging head, you can actually make your bait and your lure do all kinds of actions and stuff to make those fish bite. And obviously, like I was talking about earlier, where Kenta Kimura used this thing with a swim bait on it, you can actually use this thing scoping around and in those bait wads and everything. I feel like this would be a very great finesse style technique to use. With that being said, let's hop on over and I'll show you guys how to rig the Cheb Rig. And before we get into rigging, I will let you guys know I will have the weight and the hooks that I use in this video and for the Cheb Rig linked down below, so make sure you guys check them out. So as you guys can see, I have the original wobble head and the Cheb Rig right here. Obviously a lot smaller profile, smaller weight, smaller hook, and that's why I believe this will just be essentially a finesse version of a wobble head. So let's get into how we rig it. Obviously this one right here is already pre-rigged. Alright, so obviously this one is pre-rigged already. So what you want to do, let me take it apart. All you gotta do to take it apart is hold on to the weight and the hook and simply pull it, and your weight separates from the clip that comes onto it. Now obviously when you're first rigging this, you'll just have to push it out with a pair of pliers or something, but as you guys can see, there is the clip. It has an opening on it, so all you're going to do is you're going to take your hook and put it on the opening, slide it on, and then you want to put the hook into the bigger side of the clip. And this is a very small, tedious task, so just be careful and just know that it's going to take you a minute to put that on a couple of times. But now the clip is on the hook there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch it just like so, to where the clip is the only thing popped out. Come on, camera, focus. There we go. And then you're going to look into your weight, and there'll be a bigger side and a smaller side of their little split there. You want to obviously push it into the bigger side and push it through, and then make sure it's slid all the way through. And there you have it. That is how you obviously rig the Cheb Rig. And as for baits, again, I said I like using the crawl style baits or the beaver style baits or anything like that. And again, it's just easy rigging. You just go slightly in, just like you do a normal Texas rig, and then pop it in and out just like that. And that is a finished product on the Cheb Rig. And now you have a little line tie right there, and it's essentially a finesse style wobble rig. Alright guys, that is my breakdown on the new Cheb Rig. I'm pretty excited to use this in the coming months. Hopefully it'll equal into an extra couple fish or two, with it being a different style of a presentation, or a little bit more finesse style presentation. But if you guys learned something new, or if you enjoyed the video, please smash the thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, catch 'em big.